My name is Jason Sinclair.
And I'm Tracy Sinclair. And we have been attending Greater Lansing First for almost 1 year. It'll be 1 year at the end of October. When we were looking for a church here in Michigan, we had actually just moved back from Florida. It was our family's decision that we needed to find a church, one that our kids could grow in, that they could be around other kids. But as time passed, we had to make the hard decision to move back to Michigan. The churches in the area where we had previously lived here were not what we were looking for. So when we got back, we promised the kids, we are gonna find another church that we're gonna call home. And when I say that was a struggle, I think we spent almost a year looking for the right church. But then one Sunday, our son Parker, he said, I'm here with my best friend Connor Waterbury, Joe and Julie's son. And he's like, Mom, you guys have to come here. He's like, this is just like our Florida church. He's like, I have not been this happy in a church in so long. We did the research. We went online and I watched Pastor Cameron's Sunday service from before, and I'm like, he spoke to both of us. Honestly, like our first day coming here, I was more prepared to not feel like I was gonna find that church home.
I had very high expectations as well for our family and to make sure that our kids were accepted and that we were accepted. Pastor Cameron was very open, welcomed us.
When we got here, the door swung open and there stood Pat, big smile on her face. She's like, you guys are new. Pulled us right in that church, and Pastor Cameron was just a few feet away and he came right over. He remembered Parker from the week before. It felt so nice to actually be welcomed like that. We had so many people just that day come up to us, introduce themselves, ask us, where are you from? It's so nice to have you here. They didn't care what our background was. They didn't care where we came from. They didn't care what we did. They were just like arms wide open, welcome to church. We are so glad to have you here. One of the things that honestly made us realize that this was gonna be our church home, like we were in worship that day and everybody was praying for each other that Sunday. You were having everybody lay their hands on each other, and it was such a family atmosphere. And I remember we got back in the car that day and our kids are like, Mom, Dad, did we finally find it? Did we find our church home? And I remember I looked at Jason, I'm like, I think we did. Even now, that makes us feel like we matter. Even if you go away for a couple weeks and you have to come back, the people are so incredibly welcoming. I've seen new families walk in the doors and everybody is greeting them with open arms. They are so happy to have people here, and our kids are involved in the church. They absolutely love being here every Sunday. They make sure that when we are planning family events, they're like, we're gonna be back for church, right? We're like, yes. And that is one thing that means so much to us.
If you have kids, you're welcome. If you're single, you're welcome. If you're married, you're welcome.
And they're always willing to pray for you and help you. And that is a hard atmosphere to come by. And that is exactly what we found here at Greater Lansing First. I can't even tell you how many times in those first couple weeks, we just continuously kept hearing, we are so excited to have you guys here. Welcome to our church family. That just made me feel like we mattered. Different things like that always kind of help solidify why we've called this our church home and why this is where we're gonna stay.